All right, Jack, always great. Thanks very much for joining us from Townsville. What are some of your favourite moments from the Australian Grand Prix, particularly at Phillip Island?
The whole thing about the Australian Grand Prix, the whole weekend, it's the whole week pretty much. The lead up, everything. It's an awesome event. The Aussie support that we're getting down there is unreal. The fans really show up and show their support as Australians do, and being one of the only Aussies out there, it makes it, you definitely feel a little bit more. So it makes it extra special, I think. But no, the whole week's awesome. Starting off with the pre-events and whatnot in Melbourne, getting to catch up with a lot of familiar faces people haven't seen for 12 months or so. So that's nice. And then everything to the environment, the atmosphere of the track. Everyone's excited to get there because the track is by far one of the best on the calendar. It's one everyone looks forward to, and I think we're all just sort of praying as we're driving out to the island that the weather will be nice for the weekend. That's about the only drama. But it's definitely the highlight of my year for sure, and I think many others as well.
Yeah, definitely. No, we always like the track when we're racing as well. Last year, mate, fantastic result on the podium. Can you describe your emotion, that last lap of the race, knowing that you're going to be standing on the podium in front of your home crowd?
Yeah, I think you know what it's like, mate. It's unreal to be there at the on the podium at your home Grand Prix. It makes all the other podiums and whatnot feel sort of second to that. I mean, especially even last year we didn't really expect it, but it came. We rode a smart race, did what we needed to do, and caught a bit of a break there towards the end of the race. So I think I rode, like I said, a smart race, and I was able to save my tyres, whereas some of the others weren't able to do such that. And to stand on the podium was ridiculous. I can't even describe how good the feeling was. It was nuts and I've never seen that many people. I've always seen the videos, of the podiums in the past and stuff like that, of massive crowds there. But I mean, I couldn't see any of the track. The track, as far as you could see down Gardner Straight, all the way off into turn one, you couldn't even see it. So you couldn't even see the track. So, I mean, it was just – and then, just talking with friends and family that were sort of sat on the entrance to turn one. It was like my sister and a lot of my mates were sat there in the VIP lounge there. And, they just said, as soon as they seen me go over the line, they just literally were jumping fences, sprinting, trying to catch up with, get over the podium as quick as possible. So, it was just an amazing, amazing sensation. And to hear the crowd, how vocal they were when we got on the podium was, like I said, I still pinch myself now thinking about it.
You've been quick around the island, the couple of years leading up to that, but your consistency hasn't always been great over the whole year. 2018 to 2019 was a massive step. What do you put that down to? What was the key improvement, or was it a number of things?
It was a few things there. I think one of the big things was being on the current model bike, sort of not chasing your tail. Before, it always felt like, you were riding on the ragged edge, trying to push to stay with the guys. You were losing time in places that we didn't really need to be losing time. The island was an exception for that because it wasn't too bad. Once you sort of get your momentum up around there, it's not too bad. You can make a not great bike sort of work half decent around there. But yeah, last year I definitely learned how to run with the guys at the front, not be on the ragged edge the whole race. Ride a race that I'm in control of, sort of thing, and understand where my pace is, where I'm pushing, how long I can sort of keep at that pace, and just understand the whole race distance. The races are long. For example, Phillip Island was at 27 laps.
Yeah.
It's a long race, it's a really long time. And you have to understand how the bike's going to behave through the whole 27 laps. So
yes,
I think that was definitely one of the key points, is just understanding that the race isn't only 10, 15 laps. You're going to make it to the end. And those last 5, sort of 6 laps are the most crucial of them all. So I think that was definitely and the other thing is not to get too emotional. I think maybe in the past get too emotional. Some guys come past and start to override and make mistakes. And then that just creates like a snowball effect, I guess. And it was just sort of understanding what I needed to do in that sort of department. I think it was just me coming together as a rider. And I think the bike as well, the package I had around me. Also, another year with my crew.
Yep.
everything felt really good. So it was a number of things, I think.
Well, talking about your crew and being on factory bikes, I've got to congratulate you for the announcement that came out a few days ago. It's fantastic news. On the red bike, the factory one, so much uncertainty around at the moment. It must be a really good feeling to have that pressure released. You got a factory deal for next year. I bet you were pumped when you got that offer come in.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's something I've been working for a really long time, and to finally have that, like you say, it's kind of weird in a time like it is at the moment, with so much uncertainty around in the world. But to have that sort of done, it's kind of weird at the moment because he still kind of hasn't sunk in yet. You know, normally we're doing the contract negotiations at a track, and you know, you understand where you are because of the races and whatnot. But now, you know, sat here in Australia, sort of doing contract negotiations over the phone, or you know, getting the updates at least from Aki over the phone. It was kind of weird, but nevertheless, you know, really happy to have that done. That means, you know, when we do get back to racing, I'll be able to sort of approach it with an open mind. You know, no stress for next year. Just focus on the main job this year, which is trying to do the best I can with the Pramac team. You know, leave there, hopefully give them something to really celebrate and to finish it, cap our relationship off really well, I think.
Well, I know the guys are proud of you, and they really enjoy having you in the team. Every time I see them, they go on about it. You know, oh, he's such a cool guy, so I'm sure they're going to miss you. But we're excited to see you in the factory squad. Unfortunately, this year there's not going to be an Australian Grand Prix. That's been announced. You know, how disappointing is that for you? But on the other hand, I guess the next time we're going to see you ride in this country, you're going to be on the factory bike. So that must be good to see.
Yeah, it's you know, it is very disappointing not to have the home Grand Prix. But you know, at this point in time, any racing I'll take. You know, whether we do all 10 rounds in one track, it doesn't matter to me as long as we can get racing. You know, go and ride motorbikes. You know, I feel lost at the moment. It's the most time I've spent without racing in my life. You know, since I was 7 years old. So to be this long without sort of any competition, you kind of feel weird. It's a strange. I guess it must be like similar feeling to when you retire.
That's what I was just going to say. This is what it feels like when I stopped. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know,
what do you do?
You don't know what to do with yourself. You know, you sort of wake up in the morning, especially like now, you know, that we have dates and stuff like that we're working towards. But at that point, when, you know, one Grand Prix was getting cancelled after the other, you're kind of scratching your head. And I was just trying to find little things to sort of motivate me and keep me, you know, focused on something, because I've always had something that I'm working towards. And then when you don't have a race, you don't have a test or anything like that you're working towards, you're like, what do I do? What am I doing right now? So I've just been, you know, tinkering along over here and at home. You know, I got my shed finished off and been working on a lot of little projects, got a lot of bikes done and a lot of different things around the farm. So I've just been creating myself my own little, let's say, goals and whatnot. And of course, doing the training, riding a lot of motocross, riding a lot of bicycles, running, doing everything I can sort of keep myself like that active. But no, definitely missing the competition side of it and the racing side of it.
Well, and talking about you being back here, you're in Townsville in the moment, North Queensland. You've got a farm and a motocross track, and how do you think your regime, you're being able to still ride motorbikes compared to the guys stuck in Europe? If you were stuck in Andorra, you wouldn't have been able to ride near as much. So do you think that's going to be an advantage when you get back onto it?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, a lot of those guys were locked up for a couple of months, you know, or at least a month. And some guys in the worst case were locked up for near on 2 months. So, you know, I've been fortunate enough that we live in such a great spot up here that, you know, I have 2 tracks on my property. Guys behind me have 2 tracks on their property. Down the road, we have another really great track. There's a couple of young kids that ride there and who are, you know, super keen. So they're out riding pretty much nearly every second day. So, you know, there's a lot of tracks and, you know, if we're not doing our track today, they're doing their track. So it's sort of, I think I've done something like 26 now on the 450 hours and another 23 on my on the 252 stroke that I bought. When I was servicing the 450. So just sort of keep myself occupied with little bikes and that, and being able to ride so much has been awesome. You know, I get back to sort of what I grew up doing, I guess you could say.
Definitely. And talking about growing up and getting into motorbikes, when did you start motorcycle racing, or motorcycle riding, I should say, and who inspired you to get into racing?
I started nearly 3 years old, not quite 3 years old. My brother got a bike for his birthday. He's 3 years older than me. He got a 50 for his birthday. I remember being stood at the gate. I can still remember to this day. I was stood there crying. And then they eventually took me down to the park to ride with them. And then pretty much they worked out that my brother was too big for that bike. So I inherited it straight away pretty much, and he got another one. And from then on, but then like I said, I was nearly 3, not quite. And then, we just rode at my uncle and auntie's property because we still lived in town at the time. Between there and, other little spots around town that we could go and ride. But never really raced, but always bugged Dad to race. And then when I turned 7, he bought me a KTM Divi 2, and we went pretty much racing. Pretty much from that day, I went racing and never stopped. You know, it became sort of a family thing as soon as I went. My brother never really wanted to race, but then when I started racing, he saw it was lots of fun. So he's like, I want to race. And then sister ended up doing it for a bit, and Dad even made a comeback there for a bit. So, it became like a bit of a family thing.
Yeah, cool.
So, and then, never, like I always took it really seriously, and I loved racing, but was, I always dreamed it. I initially wanted to be a crusty demon, I think, like every other kid did. And then, found my thing. I was like really good at dirt track. Was really fast in motocross for about 3 or 4 laps, and then I'd axe myself pretty much every time, just get a bit out of control. But was always really good at dirt track. And then through, I think it was Noel Lee Smith sort of said, come and give road racing a go down in Tasmania. So I literally had to do my license here in Townsville on the go-kart track, so I was able to go and race a road bike down in Tasmania. It was my first time, second time actually. I did, a couple of hours out here. Yeah. The go-kart track just to get the,
the certificate that you can ride. The certificate
that I could race. And then, went straight to an Aussie Championship round in Tasmania. And, it was definitely a baptism of fire. I think I crashed like 3 times over that weekend, which was not ideal, but gave it a good go. And that was, my first year. I think I was 14 years old. And that was the reason they just changed the rules in Australia, that I was able to race at 14 on a 125 bike. GP bike. So then did the 1 year here, and already at the end of the year we were starting to win. We won the round of Malala. Was battling with the boys at Phillip Island, boys with a lot of experience, and I was still on a standard bike. So we were sort of like, can't really do too much. So off we went we couldn't really do too much more in Australia. So it was off to Europe with the same bikes we had and everything, and go over there and try and do what we could on a standard bike and learn a lot more, or learn how to ride against those guys on an underpowered bike,
Exactly.
And I think that was definitely probably the biggest thing in my career, which helped me from an early age, was just never having the top speed, never having, being able to rely on power, or even a great handling bike, because we never had great suspension or anything like that. It was just sort of set up. I had a Japanese mechanic, Kazuka Roda, and they'd set the bike up to the Honda book, and that was it. Handlebars in the position, and everything like that, like the book said, and it was go and do laps. So I think that sort of made me learn how to adapt and overcome problems. I think, and definitely helped me become the rider I guess I am today.
And the rider you are today, like we said before, moving on to factory Ducati MotoGP bike, and it's been great for Aussies in the past, Troy Bayliss and Casey Stoner especially. So we wish you all the best. Jack, thanks again for your time today. Hopefully we're going to see you racing soon this year, and all the best to finish off 2020.
Thanks, Chris. It's always good catching up with you, and for sure, hopefully we can catch up in person sooner rather than later. And first and foremost, hopefully we can get back to riding motorbikes and give everybody a show. I don't think we'll have too many fans at the track this year, but at least hopefully get us on TV.
Exactly. We look forward to watching it. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Chris. Thanks, mate.